Hello and welcome to Procrastination Points video Snark. I'm continuing my sarcastic book review of The Mister by E.L. James. Not the first video, go check out the others, links are posted below, chapter 23. We left off with Max and Elisa confessing their love for one another. This chapter opens with the two of them being all like, "Do you love me? I mean, truly love me?" They gush over it for a while, blah blah blah, they make out, things start to get hot and heavy, but Max eventually stops when he remembers that those two hurt Elisa. Elisa then turns the entire business of the Earl of Trevithick into a joke, like she hadn't been about 2 seconds from leaving him because of the entire thing. Nope! All of that is just one giant joke now. It could have been an interesting plot point, something that could keep them apart, and then Max would have to prove his love. Instead, all it took was a 5-second conversation, and she forgets him. Max starts to show Elisa some of the paintings of the other earls. When she asks where his is, he explains to her about Kid and all the responsibility of the title suddenly being dropped onto him after Kid's death. The impromptu family history lesson is interrupted by Danny saying that a doctor has come to look at Elisa. Elisa shows Max a huge bruise on her side from where one of them kicked her earlier. Upstairs, the doctor greets Max warmly before he looks at Elisa. The book honestly spends more time on the "Hi, how are you?" business than it does on the actual examination. Ugh. But the doc says that nothing is broken and it takes some over-the-counter pain meds if it hurts too much. However, the doctor does get a picture of the bruise for the police records, although the entire business of taking the photo seems almost like an afterthought that had been tacked into the story at the last second. After the doctor leaves, Max goes some more into his family history, and I'm not going to be apologetic about this, but I don't care. Eventually, Max takes Elisa into the drawing room where she's pleased to see an antique piano. Max encourages her to play it. Her playing draws the attention of the people of the house who naturally come in to watch. When she finishes the first song, Max encourages her to continue playing, but that he has to go deal with some stuff. He tells her about how he thinks Dante and friend broke into his apartment earlier and that he needs to deal with it. The conversation with Oliver about the flood is mostly glossed over. He calls the guard hired to watch over Magda and Michael and tells him about how Dante and friend are in custody, but Tom says that he'll continue to watch over Magda and Michael until things are settled in regards to Dante's arrest, even though I'm pretty sure that Magda and Michael will be in Canada before things are legally settled with Dante, but whatever. And then Caroline calls, because this is what I wanted to read about right now. Not the actual drama, but the spurned other woman in a romance novel being hateful and evil. Caroline cries and puts on a good show about being hurt and upset that her little boy toy hasn't been around to amuse her, or whatever garbage motivation James is going for with this. Max says that with the business with the flat break-in, he's going to be back in London in a day or two. And then an entire page and a half is spent on Max talking with Danny about a late lunch, and then Max repeating all of this to Elisa. So much padding. They go into the library for their lunch and were subjected to a freaking museum tour of Max explaining the history of half of the things in the room, and then more padding as they sit down to eat. Why? I take back what I said about Caroline randomly reappearing in the story again. Let's just jump into that drama, because it beats a long description about them fussing over their napkins. Chapter 24. Elisa and Max go outside where they look at some more deer. Max talks about the local sheep farmers. She looks adorable. I find it hard to believe that she was the victim of an attempted kidnapping this morning. So, adorable people are somehow unable to be victims of kidnapping or something? No correlation. Max finally gets around to the actual plot. He asks why it is that she was going to leave rather than to so much as even pick a fight with Max. She says that she's so used to running from Dante and friend that it just seemed like the right thing to do. But you can't run every time we have a problem. Talk to me. Ask me questions about anything. I'm here. I'll listen. Argue with me. Shout at me. I'll argue with you. I'll shout at you. I'll get it wrong. You'll get it wrong. That's all okay, but to resolve our differences, we have to communicate. This is a nice sentiment, don't get me wrong, but my problem with this is that this comes from E.L. James, whose main claim to fame is the 50 Shades series. A reoccurring theme in 50 Shades is that Anna and Christian ignore all of their problems in favor of bedroom activities, and then pretend that they don't have any problems until all of their problems fester so badly that all of the metaphorical wound is gangrenous. so forgive me if I'm scoffing over James offering up this tidbit of relationship advice. Max tells Elisa that he wants for her to live with him, in Cornwall, in London, wherever that he is. She happily agrees to this, but I'm just screaming, pump the brakes, sweetie, you met this guy like 2 weeks ago. They start making out, although Max is reluctant to go further at first. Elisa convinces him otherwise. They go back to the main house where Elisa offhandedly comments that the most shocking thing today is Max's love confession, which, okay. I mean, I get trying to focus on the positives, but ignoring the bad things that happen to you isn't exactly healthy. They bang. The foreplay goes across many pages before they get to the actual act. And I'm not gonna lie, but I'm mainly just skimming this. Erotica is all well and good and everything, but let's be honest here, it brings nothing to the table by way of plot. Maybe the first time that they were together, but after like 5 other physical scenes just like this, the plot relevance is literally non-existent. After, they talk about music and Elisa's synthesia. She says that she started to fall for him before all of the stuff with Dante appeared in the book, when she saw him playing the piano for the first time. Elisa then asks if they're going to do it again, but Max instead calls for dinner. As they eat, Max talks about going back to London. Elisa says that she wants to work. She doesn't go into details, though, about not wanting to be reliant upon a man. But Max doesn't argue about it and really just tells her that she doesn't have to clean houses anymore. He also talks about making sure that her status in the UK is legal, although I'm fairly certain that she wouldn't be shipped off anywhere simply because of what happened to her. I'm not up on UK laws, but it just seems like common sense to me. Max convinces her that she'll stay with him until her legal status is sorted out, and then she can do whatever she'd like. She agrees under the condition that she'll continue to clean for him, since she isn't going to just sit back and be useless that entire time. Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. New videos are up every Monday, but stick around because sometimes I drop random videos on other days too. You can like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a single video. While you're waiting for the next video, you can go check out all my other videos. If you're already caught up with all of my videos, you can go to Tumblr for my main book Snarks, always free and updated every morning. And if you've already read all of my main Snarks, then you can find even more Snarks on my Patreon. You can access it for $1 a month. Plus, you get early access to my main Tumblr Snark. Special thanks to Dawn, Phoebe, and Nikki for supporting me on Patreon already. If you want to hear your name in my video next week, you either support me on Patreon or make a one-time donation. Do you like my Snarks so much that you want me to snark your writing? I do that too. For just $3 per chapter, I will tell you how awful that your writing is. But not to worry if you feel like you couldn't take the criticism. I also offer regular book editing as well, $3 for every 5,000 words. You can contact me on Tumblr if you have further questions. If you want to read some of the things that I've written, you can purchase my works on Amazon. I have 19 erotic short stories, 1 short story collection, and 1 full-length novel. I also sometimes run flash sales on my stories, and if you don't follow me on any social media, you might want to do so just so you know when I might be offering more things for free. Links for everything will be posted below. See you next week, guys!